ASCI, the advertising regulator that has now come down sternly on digital ad practices. What exactly is ASCI saying, Amit? What is the bone of contention?
See, advertising practices, basically they do play mischief off and on.
Right.
And with advertising, if you want to put an idea out there, you can put it out there, budget for basically it coming down. And that has happened. If you remember, there was a leading cricketer's ad who was a pilot in the cockpit and who's romancing in the cockpit while the flight is on. And that ad had to be taken back.
Right.
So the brands and agencies have a history of playing mischief and letting the ad go out. The thing with these ads is once they are out there, even for once, they are in the public domain. So ASCI has to come down really strictly, and I do not know how they will do it, to prevent even these kinds of ads coming out even one time. So that is my take on it, basically.
Okay. Karthik, very interesting what I'm reading at this point in time. There's been a guideline that's been released by ASCI to check, and I quote, dark practices. What are these dark practices? Number one, non-declaration of the final price upfront, which is you have a quoted price in advertisements that you put out, and they may not include your optional taxes, duties, fees, charges that apply to the buyers at the time of buying. So that is one. And the second being creating this false sense of emergency that this product is very important, you must buy it, it's a do or die situation. So all of these have come under this large umbrella of dark patterns that ASCI has identified, the advertising regulator, and has come up with a guideline for the first time.
Absolutely, and got to give it to the creativity of ASCI as well, right? Come up with such a beautiful advertising sounding trending term called dark patterns. But yeah, I think very interesting and very good observations. You see a product, let's say even when you're on a quick commerce platform or an e-commerce platform, you look at, let's say, a box of mangoes that is supposed to cost you $100. You're tempted, you add it to your basket. When you check out at some 175 rupees. Why? There is GST on the same box of mangoes. There is a delivery fee. There is a packaging fee. There is a surge fee. There is God knows what all. So the point being that consumers get lured to add something to their baskets, to their carts, on the basis of the price that they see. But that price often does not include the mandatory taxes, the mandatory delivery fee, and maybe any other optional or time band specific charges that could get included. So that is one of the dark patterns that has been identified and listed down. Now, the second one is really pertaining to this false sense of urgency. Limited stock, offer expiring soon, without really disclosing or without really adhering to any laid out fundamental strict datelines, timelines, or number of quantity pieces available in stock. It's just referred to as offer ending soon, limited stock, ending soon, expiring soon. They're saying all that does not really add up. You can't create this false sense of urgency without quantifying what this urgency really is. So these are the two major dark practices or dark patterns that emerge. One, of course, being the final price being mentioned. Don't mention what it is going to cost you X showroom, for example. Mention what it's going to cost you on road. When you look at the case of automobiles, or let's say the quick commerce or the e-commerce example that I gave you. So that, and then of course the mandatory tax, the delivery fee, and all of that added up. Now remember, ASCI does not really have canines that can bite. It doesn't really have the kind of teeth that can go and dig deep into the advertising markets. It's an influencer and a watchdog per se, but a watchdog that does not really have the mandate to go ahead and bite. So it's taking into account and confidence the Ministry of Consumer Affairs as well. And together these guidelines are getting drafted. And 1st September 2024 seems to be the date by which advertisers are expected to comply with this new set of guidelines.
Okay, so if I were to every day in the morning start this bulletin by saying this is the last time you can watch it, watch now or never, that would not be in compliance with the ASCI guidelines, Amit?
Well, we are not actually putting out an advertisement, so yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, but like Karthik said, yeah, ASCI needs more teeth, and
Right.
carrying on from basically advertising, I've been there, so they have propensity to basically play mischief, whether it is pricing. So they ASCI, the ministry, and even maybe AAAs of I, they should come together and come down with some very stringent laws that basically that prevent these people from even playing mischief one time.
And on the issue of teeth, and maybe perhaps Karthik can also weigh in here, ASCI essentially is a body that comes up with guidelines. It can name and shame, but there's nothing more that it can do on top of that, Karthik, and that perhaps is one of the reasons why ASCI has not been able to exercise any influence on mischief and on ads that do not comply with the law of the land.
Influence, yes, it does exercise influence, but it does not have a statutory mandate to act against a particular advertiser or or any other body for that matter. I mean, it can go ahead and on its own volition go to courts and file a petition, but it does not have statutory powers to. It's not a regulator. That's the difference between a regulator and a body, like ASCII. A regulator has got statutory powers to issue rules, issue directions. ASCII at best can issue guidelines which are in protection of consumer interest and promote ethical, trustworthy advertising. And beyond that, I think beyond issuing guidelines, it doesn't really have the mandate to regulate the advertising sector.
All right, no mandate to regulate the sector, but has now come up with latest guidelines on various dark practices, which include drip pricing, where essentially you're not telling your customers, if you are an advertiser and not telling your customer what the final price of a product could be, you would be in violation of those guidelines. And similarly, if you were to create a false sense of emergency that this is the last time somebody can buy your product, limited stock, etc., all of that would also not be in compliance of the law. So ethical practices in digital advertising, need of the hour, and ASCII there coming out with a set of guidelines that digital advertisers can follow.